Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to watch this video. My name is Alejandra. You're watching Wildflowers Within on YouTube. And if you've tuned in, you're here to hear about the full moon in Leo. I tried to go for a little bit bigger hair today. Like, I was thinking like big Leo energy. And didn't quite hit it out of the park. Didn't quite fail, but didn't quite get there. But, I'm going to try and be as Leo as I possibly can today. Trying to be big and bold and dramatic in order to make this video, because this full moon is really asking for it. It's asking for us to bring out our inner Leo in a really big way. So before I start, just wanted to share that if you're a woman and you're looking for some nervous system regulation, if you're looking to work with lunar wisdom in a deeper way, I invite you to click below the Lunar Alchemy Circle. I do live breathwork calls on new moons and full moons, and it's just a way to stay connected to the stars, stay connected to our Madre La Luna, and become devotional in your spiritual practice. So yeah, you can check it out. All right. Let us begin. First of all, I will say, even though I am a card-carrying Virgo sun, Venus Kazemi, actually, just have to throw that in there, that's a little bit of my Leo showing up, because I have Mercury and Jupiter in Leo in my third house of daily communication. This means that I have some trickster energy. This means that I can be very expansive and big and bold and show up and entertain and be really funny at the same time. And joke with, like, knowing there's humility is sometimes not there. And I love it. I love having Mercury and Jupiter in Leo. Mercury is my ascendant ruler, so it flavors my personality. So I have been this, like, I call it like my laugh. I have a very loud laugh. And I can see it in my chart. Like, oh, well, Jupiter and Mercury in my third house of every day. This is how I talk. So I like being big, and I like being able to be somewhat of a representative to speak on behalf of, people experiencing this full moon in Leo energy. So I have some notes. I'll probably go in and out and riff and that kind of stuff. Because, I really just want to stay connected. Leo is about being connected from a place of presence and from a place of the heart. And it's very playful, a very, very playful energy. I think of like a big, big lion that is noble and regal, but at the same time, like, understands how to have fun. And I wanted to speak a lot about the Leo-Aquarius axis, because that's kind of the spotlight for this full moon. There's not really any other big aspects that are speaking to the moon apart from what is across her way in the temple of Aquarius. So this whole idea of Leo-Aquarius, what are these archetypes? What are these themes? And it's very much about the individual versus the collective, right? Who we are in the world, our light, our soul, our purpose, and how does that integrate with society, with the constructs and the zeitgeists we find ourselves in. And I like to compare it to the throne versus the sky, right? Sitting on one's throne. We have a lot of talk about, like, reclaim your inner queen, girl. Find your queen. Yes, very much. Find your queen. And brothers, find your king, and sit and take a seat on the truth and the magnitude and the beauty that is your frequency and your heart. The love you have inside and how you emanate that out into the world. How do you rule, right? The kingdom that you are going to be claiming and walking upon as your birthright. Oof. Can we just, like, put some fire on that right now? That is amazing. We all have this. But what happens? We forget about it. And it doesn't help when everybody else also forgets about it. Bring in the collective now so we could see a little bit of Aquarius. Now, Aquarius in its highest sense, when I was learning about this in my astrology courses, my teacher would always compare Aquarius to the mind of God. You know, he said something like, you know, Aquarius is like where the idea of like the perfect triangle came in to like existence. What? That's crazy. That's wild. Aquarius is brilliant. It's an air sign. It's the masculine air temple of Saturn, right? Opposing this fire temple of Leo, of the sun. And you need both. You know, passion needs to be given to whatever structure is willing itself to be created, right? That's very much a theme of this axis. I, through my own birthright and willpower and volition, will this formation of structure to come through. But Aquarius is also about weaving in a fabric and a tapestry that is in harmony, that is for the better benefit and betterment of everyone in society, right? In its highest idyllic sense. Remember, there's shadows to both of these places. So Leo ruling the heart is here saying, feel me, you know, witness me, see my heart. Braveheart, right? What's that one? They will not take our freedom, right? And then all the crowd goes wild, right? Shout out to the movie Braveheart, because I love it. I love William Wallace. I'm gonna lose my train of thought, but it's okay. I need to be very playful. I get to be very playful in this because this is Leo. This is like, ta-da! This is what the full moon wants from us, okay? Be playful here, because there's a lot of seriousness going on right now. And it's okay to be present and feel into your heart and pay attention. And at the same time, remember, you also can just be you, right? You can bring your joy and your light to the world. So Aquarius sees the bigger picture. If Leo sees it from the perspective of the heart and what it wants, Aquarius, under the stars, then sees, yeah, here's the bigger picture. We're both visionaries. Leo is going to embody it, and Aquarius is then going to broadcast it out as a frequency, right? The heartbeat versus the frequency. Leo is, who am I? And Aquarius is, who are we becoming? So, I mean, think about what's going on in the world right now. There's a lot of tension that we can see. I mean, I live in the United States, and I think it's pretty apparent. And we're starting to see people, there's a lot of activity of the mind, and influencing then how the heart shows up. And it's an interesting conversation. It's perfect time that this lunation is coming and highlighting, because that really is, you know, what's going on. Another archetype and another way to see it is the performer versus the rebel. Now, Leo loves a stage. And I know there are some people that are, you know, Leos are like, I don't love the stage. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I mean, it has to do with like where the ascendant ruler is in the chart and what house it's sitting in and all those kinds of things. So all that's going to flavor it. But as an archetype itself, Leo is here to shine, for fuck's sake. You're ruled by the sun. I mean, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? You have a magnetic presence about you, Leo. Okay? Own it. I have no idea why I'm doing these accents, but I love it. This is me. This is me just being playful. So that is Leo. Leo is here. Like, see how when someone is in their joy and they're bubbly and sometimes speaking with an English accent, if this is maybe English, I don't know. Bridgerton came out yesterday. I'm excited. This is fun. And people can lean into fun. Now, there could be people that lean away from it, saying this is a little crazy. And that's okay too, right? Everybody just follow their truth. But essence, and because Leo is the domicile of the sun, it wants to shine. It wants to show brilliance in some way, shape, or form. And Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. So Saturn says, all right, then we're going to change a system to decide who gets to shine. Do you see the difference? One is just individualistic. Leos can be selfish, prideful. It can come from ego and just sort of like perform with no heart in it. Perform just to have it like an act of performing. I will say, like in my childhood, there's been, or just in my journey of like growing up, to really understand like I do have a performer in me, but you know, is it a performance just for the applause, you know, or is it to command some sort of attention to draw people in for a specific heartfelt message I wish to share with the world? You know, that's a big that was a big journey for me, you know, and you know I still have my playfulness, so it's never going to go away. But you know, they both can experience rejection because of this. Like, you know, some people might have already turned off this YouTube video, like, this chick's crazy. Next, you know, let me go to someone more serious. And that's okay, right? And Aquarius can also seem as the rebel, as the one who wants to stretch the fabric, you know, somewhere else. They could both be like, you know, considered like a black sheep, you know, of the family or some sort of ancestral lineage. The one who wants to like just be different and go out and venture and come up with new innovative ways, you know, to grow who they are and their expression of their soul, right? That frequency. Where have we not pushed limits? Where have we not pushed these boundaries? What boundaries have kept us in, right? It's very Saturn ruled. So they're a beautiful joining together of similarities and opposites. And for this full moon, what this feels like, you have to understand there is, you know what, I'm going to show you my program because you just have to see it. Like you have to visually see it. I know there's some visual learners out there. And you have to see how crazy it is in the skies right now. All right, hold on. I can't find my... Where are you, astrology program? Okay, there we go. See how I'm going to entertain you? I'm even going to entertain you while I talk. All right, so here's the full moon in Leo. Here we go. 13 degrees, sitting in the lovely temple of Leo. We have this full moon. And across from it, notice, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets in Aquarius aspecting from whole sign house this moon. And this is a big deal. The moon is not making any aspects to any other, you know, any other planet. It's all right now about the heart and the head. So, what does this mean? Let me go back to my notes so I don't lose myself. All right. So, if the new moon is Leo and it's represented by one heart, it's like the heart is presenting itself to the chamber, right? To the panel, to the council, saying, this is who I am. This is what I feel. This is what I love. And the council is there saying, okay, but how does this serve the people? How does this serve our future? How does it serve a new kind of system we want to create? So the tension right now that we are experiencing is about your own heartfelt truth emerging, right? But in order to emerge, you have to feel it. You cannot stay in your head. You have to feel, right? And you have to feel from a place of emotional regulation, right? Because if you're from a place of reaction, you're not going to feel the deepest truth of your heart, right? It's going to be surface level emotions. You have to go down deep. That's Leo. Use that fire to burn everything else away to hear and feel what wants to speak from your heart. And that's going to be in tension with collective consequence because of it. That's what's going on right now. Okay? So the heart, it's like being surrounded by like brilliant minds, right? And everybody's like in their head trying to think of things, but you can't go to the head yet. You need to understand, but what do I feel? But what do I feel? And from there, let it dictate you what wants to come through. So look where Leo sits in your chart. Okay, like I said, mine is a third house is where this lunation is taking place. So I wanted to share a story because I thought that would probably be the most beneficial way. And I can show you how I use astrology, how I know my knowledge of, okay, full moon's coming up in Leo, what's going on, how am I feeling, what am I working with? And it's pretty funny what happened. And it's a vulnerable share, which that's Leo, right? In the best sense and quality is about being vulnerable and allowing yourself, letting the ego fall away and just speaking from your heart and telling people what's up. So I am under a writing process right now. I'm supposed to write a chapter for this new book called Voices of Transformation. And we're using the chapter, everybody, like all the co-authors in it, to ultimately give a TED Talk. And, for TEDx, it really is the council, right? It's my one Leo heart going up against this council, because this council is going to judge me. And there's all these criteria and guidelines of, like good science, stay away from quantum physics, don't be too woo-woo spiritual. And not only that, but they want you to be able to prove that you don't just have a concept to come on and be inspirational, you're actually doing work. Your passion is like you are now walking this talk. And, so it's very stressful because I am a speaker on the subject of sexual assault, of healing the wound of sexual assault in our world. And I really feel like last year I started my ministry, as a survivor and someone who is, as a liberated survivor, not just a survivor, as a liberated survivor. As a woman who, is understanding how and what ways I was within this wound and somehow come out and see it from outside the victim perpetrator paradigm without spiritually bypassing. It took me 10 years to find this place of peace and understanding. And so in my talk, I want to talk about this and speak to the wound of rape as a way at looking at it from a very different lens. And I was coming up to like roadblocks. I was having writer's block. I was all of a sudden, finding myself on like Brene Brown's website and going to like google.scholar.com or scholar.google.com, to look for like statistics and, but what happens to the brain with trauma and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden I'm like trying to be so scientific about something. And I have a meltdown, like an absolute freaking meltdown. And thank God I can still go to my mother who loves me and cares for me and totally knows me because she's my mama. And I asked if I could talk to her, and then I just started crying, and I was like, I'm not Brene Brown. This is true story. And she's like, okay, Mija, she goes, if that's your bar that you're trying to hit with this one talk, because Mija, you're setting your expectations so high. You're putting your standards so high, like don't put so much pressure on yourself. And I was really nice. Thank you, Mamita, for helping me with this and talking me off, to walk back and calm down. And then I looked at her and I said, okay, I think I just need to go outside and cry. And I'm going to go do some hape, which is sacred crushed tobacco. And it's a really good heart chakra opener. It's really good for grief also, just FYI. So I went outside, I put a playlist on, I did my, little ceremony, allowed myself to cry. And it was like, Mija, don't try and be a replicate, like a cookie cutter, or even attempt to show yourself in this light. Show the spirit of who you are and what your heart wants to speak. and that it will still be credible. It will still have a beautiful message, and you'll be able to, go in front of this panel, and they're either going to say yes or they're going to say no. And so finding that place within us is really big for this lunation. Okay? This, because you have all of these planets, a 5-planet stellium in Aquarius, the tug of war, the full moon lunations, right? It's about the opposition, the aspect of an opposition, which are ruled by Saturn because they are so difficult to master. And you have 5 planets in Aquarius and 1 Madre la Luna here in the Temple of Leo, all by herself. The amount of heart that is needed right now, and not from the wounded place, not from the shadow place, but it's this moon is going to expose what has been emotionally suppressed in your system if you allow yourself to go there. Really allow it. Because one of these 5 planets, not to mention the Mars-Pluto conjunction we just had, but Pluto in Aquarius, poof, which is all about transformation that comes and just can destabilize and purify. And, it is saying that the way that we belong, the way that we lead, the way that we love, the way that we express, right? We got Mercury in there, Venus in there right now, is permanently being rewritten. Permanently being rewritten. We are 2 weeks out from an eclipse, the eclipse portal, fully here now. We are a few weeks out from a new Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries. The entire future is being rewritten at this time. And if you don't know where you sit in your heart, you are going to be lost. You are going to be overpowered by a collective and not be able to hear your own frequency, your own heart emanation. So, was that dramatic enough for you? Was that deep enough for you? Because that's what's going on here. How do you stay true to your heart without betraying the future that you want to build and create and see in the world? What part of you wants to be seen, and what part of you is here to change the world? That's what's going on for this full moon. So I fully recommend a good cry if you need it. Feel, find the voice of your heart. And I will see you in 2 weeks for the new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius. It's going to be good. All right. Like, subscribe, comment. Please let me know if you like this. I really love not speaking into a void. And come join the Lunar Alchemy Circle. Come do breathworks with me if that will, nourish and feed your heart and your system at this time. All right. Thanks so much. Take care, everybody. Ciao.